On this week's episode of the podcast, we have Dr. Robbie Hughes, owner of Dental Excellence, who are responsible for a lot of great teeth who you probably would have seen.
I'm not working for money, but I am working for long-lasting generational wealth.
You're thinking at the time when you done it, like you were thinking like a ka-ching moment.
Yeah.
Robbie's an entrepreneur and a visionary that's taken the dentistry industry forward massively.
I think with any business, you've got to put your blood, sweat and tears into it. You know, if you're not prepared to do that for 5 years, then, you know, you don't expect to have any elements of sort of success. And he scored, and he runs over to the corner flag, and the camera's in his face, and they just seen these big dazzling whites, and then it was all in the press like the next day.
His drive and wisdom in business and how he's dominating his field is definitely something to take note of.
By the time we got to 2015, it was like we was #1 clinic in Liverpool. I don't think speed is always the most important thing. I think it's just getting things right from a foundational point of view. The warrior mentality, like it's either in you, that fire, like sort of where you're never going to quit no matter what.
Robbie, thanks for coming on, man. Good to see you.
pleasure.
It's been a while, which actually isn't a good thing that you are my dentist. So it shouldn't have been that long. But how's everything been?
Great, mate. Yeah, it has been quite a few years since I've seen you last, but yeah, everything's been good. 100 miles an hour. Really
You've been busy.
Yeah.
Been busy. What's been going on? What's the latest?
Well, I think the last time I seen you, Kev, it was in my old dental practice, wasn't it? Before we.
Yeah, I know. I think I might have seen you once in your new place.
Yeah. So obviously we've been obviously focusing on constantly on just building and growing the business, scaling the business, and then growing a few side businesses, mainly in the education area for dentistry and the dental lab as well, to sort of service the dentists that we've been training and educating. So it's all good. Lots of sort of new ventures over the last couple of years, which is my main passion.
Yeah. So I think what you've done is pretty cool, and I wanted to get you on as well because I've not actually heard you speak about it much and how you've kind of got to where you've got to. And I think it's interesting, especially in the industry you're in, like dentistry. It's not, you know, known for being exciting or like having a brand attached to it, which I think you've done like extremely well. You've definitely built up like a really cool brand around that. And so it'd be good to hear, you know, how you've got there. And, you know, you've worked with like some amazing people. You've given like so many people smiles, like half the Liverpool team, Klopp, like Firmino, you're the reason for the smile, mine as well. So it would be cool to, you know, see how you got here. So what I normally do when I get guests on is kind of track back, start from, you know, when they're a little bit younger and the kind of the psychology and the mentality that got them to the point they're at now.
Yeah.
So going back, I know we spoke on camera, you went to uni, right?
Yeah.
Is that, which uni did you go to? And was that dentistry that you went
Dentistry,
for as well?
yeah. So I studied dentistry for 5 years at the University of Liverpool, from when I was 18 to when I was 23.
Yeah.
So literally straight out of school, GCSEs, A-levels, straight into uni. Stayed at home. Liverpool, didn't really want to leave my hometown for quite a few reasons.
No one from Liverpool wants to leave Liverpool.
No, never. And everyone that comes doesn't leave either.
Yeah.
So it was quite a long sort of educational journey, really. And then, you know, even in uni, I suppose I was inspired to do dentistry. Part of my inspiration to do dentistry was the fact that you can come out of uni, you can start thinking about building and developing your own business relatively quickly.
Okay.
And
so it wasn't like go and get a job as a dentist. It was always start your own business.
No, it was I have always been quite entrepreneurial and always been into business. And because in school I was performing quite well, and the school tends to sort of direct you towards, when you're getting higher grades in the sciences, direct you towards medicine, dentistry, all these sort of careers. So for me, I was heavily involved in martial arts. I did martial arts, kickboxing for over 20 years, and that was a big part of my mentality even today, which we'll touch on if you want. But I was visiting my dentist every 6 months for new gum shields,
right?
Because I was competing around the world, and so that was where I decided to do a bit of work experience. And he sort of like saw me the dream, I suppose. You know, he was driving a Porsche, he had his own business. It was quite cosmetic focused then. And it just seemed like a great career. As I say, owning your own business, making people smile every day, it seemed quite rewarding. And that was what I just decided there and then, right, I'm going to sort of like follow this path. But it was definitely with the vision that, you know, one day to own my own business and my own dental practice.
Yeah, was that a place in Liverpool?
That was in Liverpool.
Are they still about? Or have you like?
He's still about. He's still working. He was actually on one of my courses that I teach on the weekend.
Mad.
So it's great to sort of still keep in touch, and we still laugh and joke about, when I was in his dental practice, straight from school, trying to get a little bit of experience and stuff like that when I was ready to sort of start applying for uni and stuff. And then now he's sort of seeing what I'm doing, and I'm really pushing the envelope in the industry and trying to modernize the industry as much as I possibly can, through education and the things that we're doing. It's a bit of a full cycle.
Was that when you went into his clinic and he kind of told you the dream? Was that when you already chose to do dentistry in uni?
Yeah, well, that was more at like GCSE level. So when you're sort of about 14, 15 at school, you have to start choosing your subjects for GCSE. So the school start guiding you towards careers, so you're choosing the right subjects.
Yeah.
So at that point, I sort of decided, right, these are the subjects I need to obviously get good grades at, so then I can apply for university for dentistry in probably 3 years' time. So that's where it sort of began, around 14, 15.
Yeah, no, but so that guy, did he make you choose dentistry, or had you already chose that career path?
No, he was definitely my inspiration when it was time to make a choice.
Right, okay,
definitely my inspiration. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what kind of things did he say to you?
It was just like, this is a great career. You can make a lot of money, and at the time that was, important for me. Now there's so much more passion involved. Obviously you can run your own business, so you can tend to work your own hours, and there's a lot of specialities and avenues you can take in dentistry, and cosmetic was definitely the one for me even back then. So that sort of, I suppose, the glamour of the cosmetic dentistry was what attracted me at the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. And then you found like purpose through that as you're going through that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And would you say he was the reason why you kind of went for your own business first? Because when I was like thinking of questions to ask you today, and I was thinking about how you started, my initial thoughts would have been, you done dentistry, you got a job somewhere, then you thought, nah, fuck this.
I did do that. Yeah.
Oh, you did do that?
Yeah,
okay,
so
cool.
I qualified in 2008.
But with the mindset that you was going to start your business? Okay.
Absolutely. It was all, you come out of uni and you qualified as a dentist, but you're not really skilled enough. There's a lot of postgraduate training that you then need to go on, depending on, I suppose, it's the speciality that you want to have a focus on. So I did postgraduate diplomas in restorative and cosmetic dentistry, implantology, orthodontics. I did a bit of everything. But again, because of my entrepreneurial mindset, the first course I did when I come out of uni was Botox and fillers.
Okay.
Because working in another dental practice, to do that sort of like cosmetic style treatment, you're never going to be able to do that above the more experienced dentists.
Yeah.
But because I was well known in the city, a lot of family and friends in the city, it was easy for me to start doing basic stuff like Botox and fillers and gain the trust and rapport with those patients, knowing that as my skills in dentistry improved, especially in the cosmetic area, these people would potentially come back as clients for smile makeovers. So I really started to build that sort of database as clients early on, even though I didn't know my own business. So when it came 4 years later, when the time was, or the opportunity for me was there to open my own practice, there was a lot of people that I could bring over with me at the start, which gave me a little bit more security.
So you was purposely building that, knowing that you was gonna try and move on.
Yeah.
So when you got to that point 4 years later, what was the green light which made you think, I can do this by myself now?
So I was 4 years qualified. I was investing in myself heavily with regards to the training and the courses and stuff, and my confidence was definitely there.
How did that look, investing in yourself?
Just spending what you're earning on courses which aren't cheap. Better. To do like a year-long postgraduate certificate or a 2-year diploma, it costs like 10, 12K to do. Now, you're not earning a lot at this point, but it's the only way that you're going to sort of be able to upskill enough to do the more high-ticket type treatments that you're going to enjoy more, and they're much more rewarding. So it's a chicken and egg. You've got to invest in yourself at the start, and I was doing that. So as I was upskilling, I moved from one dental practice where I did my first junior training to another dental practice, which was fantastic for me. I'm not sure if you know how sort of like the NHS system works. I won't go in there. I haven't worked in the NHS for many years, but it's quite flawed in what you can potentially do comprehensively under the umbrella of not charging patients, but not making it counterproductive for the actual business and private dentistry. But I was quite a lucky situation where the contract was split, so the NHS patients didn't have to pay anything, and the other patients were all private. So I had a nice balance of sort of patients that were getting decent dentistry for free altogether and patients that were willing to pay. And the principal at the time was really good in allowing me to almost try the new techniques that I was learning on the patients who didn't pay, so to speak, but I was giving them treatments really that wasn't very profitable or not profitable at all for the business. Because, you know, if you're a client and you're not paying for your dentistry and you get a certain fee from the NHS for that, but you need 12 crowns to restore all your teeth, it just doesn't weigh up because of the lab bills and everything that's involved. But I was asking my principal, can I sort of like pay the lab bills, or will you help me contribute to the lab bills? It's not going to be profitable, but I've got patients there who are going to be very, very thankful that they're getting dentistry that they're not really entitled to, but I'm upskilling. So that's how I was even investing in myself then. So I was getting to do a lot of high-end dentistry that I was learning on the courses and gaining the experience, the hands-on experience quite quickly, way ahead of my time really, but with the sort of guidance by my mentor and my principal at the time. And that just really allowed me to get the confidence quite quickly. So then I took another job in Mossy Hill where you first seen me.
You worked there first?
I worked there first.
Is it?
For a year.
Sick.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That was just one guy and it was all private and his focus was smile makeovers, so it was perfect for me. And he was ready to retire and he was just there on his own with 2 nurses and 1 receptionist. And that's the business that I bought in 2012. But again, I got to spend the year with him as we made the transition. He taught me an awful lot when it comes to like veneers and smile makeovers and stuff like that.
And you bought that business with just like money just making through your work?
Yeah, I bought that from him and a loan from the bank on the base of how the business was performing. So we did that. A lot of people, my parents especially, they didn't think I was ready. Everyone was a little bit nervous. I was only 4 years qualified. I was only 27. But I had a mentor at the time who owned a very successful business and that focused only on implants. So that was the first insight for me to like what we have now, where you've got like a specialized center where we're now focused on smile makeovers. He had the center focused on dental implants, and it was really groundbreaking, forward thinking. A lot of took a lot away from that to what we do now, very technology led and all these things. And he was the person that just said to me, "Go for it. You'll never look back." So that's what we did. And like I said to you earlier, at the beginning, it was, I've just got to make this business work. I've got to make a success. I've got a bank loan to pay, and you know what I mean? And I've not long bought my own apartment. So I had these little things, and that was the focus for the first couple of years. But my work ethic and my drive was never, ever going to let me down at that point. So we just went from strength to strength. By the time we got to 2015, it was like we was #1 clinic in Liverpool, like out of nowhere.
3 years, was that 2012 you bought it? Like 3 years later?
3 years later, we literally took over the city. Everybody wanted to come to us. We were doing things which were all quite forward thinking, really modernized approach towards dentistry, changing perceptions of how dentistry should look or feel or the experience.
So you probably started feeling like you was like the only ones?
Yeah, that was the feeling, that we were the only ones doing things a certain way. Like a lot of people talk about like composite bonding and things like that now. Like we really were driving that forward back then, 8 years ago. And it's had a knock-on effect. The downside to that was you become your success. In dentistry especially, you're a victim of your own success. Like the hours of working to service these clients and this demand was just getting endless and endless. And that really wasn't what I wanted to become. Like, what are these dentists? And there's a lot out there. And you become, locked in your own surgery, working endless hours, 5-6 days a week for a whole career until you're 60, 70. Like, that's not what I wanted. So I quickly had to learn how to service demand without losing the demand, and scale the business and understand how to recruit well, how to delegate well, how to introduce protocols that the business can follow so we can quality control things well and standardize things well without me being the only person doing the dentistry. And that started about 2015.
That's why I asked you that. I think it was off camera. I asked you that. If you wanted to, could you step away from the business and let it run? Because I feel like one of the main reasons to start a business is to do that. To obviously at first you're like putting all your hours, all your efforts into it. Then there's got to be that reward, like at some point down the line where you can step away from it if you choose to and buy back time a little bit. I That's why I find that really interesting.
I think that's the goal. I think with any business, you've got to put your blood, sweat and tears into it. You know, if you're not prepared to do that for 5 years, then, you know, you don't expect to have any elements of sort of success. But for me, you know, the end goal was always to build a brand. It was never going to be the Robbie Hughes show. You know, I never wanted that. It always had to be build a brand which represented certain standards, which I was sort of 100% focused on, which was, you know, a great experience when you come to the dentist, cutting edge technology, understanding personalized care for our clients, and how the psychology of patients are with regards to dentistry, in regards to how do you motivate them, and a lot of it is based around aesthetics and how they're going to look at the end. And if we can tie in that motivational factor and talking in their language, and then find ways to educate them comprehensively about health, you've got that perfect ingredient. And that's what we've been working on for many, many years, to the point where we've got almost like the blueprint now, like as you see in dental excellence.
Guys, let's speak jewelry for a minute. Meet Say It With Diamonds, an amazing jewelry company founded by a friend of mine, Charlotte, who you might have seen previously on this podcast. Say It With Diamonds have brilliant collections for everyone, male and female, and for any age. They launched a men's collection recently. They're also engagement ring specialists, and I can definitely vouch for them here, as they did make mine, which was amazing. Visit their website or go over to their Instagram page and have a look. Great quality and very affordable, but they also offer bespoke jewelry, as I mentioned, engagement rings and other diamond gifts. On their website, you'll see a member box that you can purchase for £20 for the year, which gives you 1 year's worth of free next day delivery and 10% off everything over £50. Even better, all the Money Game listeners can get a 15% off everything online using the code MONEY15, all in capitals. Don't play games with your jewelry, get it from somewhere trusted.
And going back to when you took that loan out and you wanted to buy the business in 2012, you mentioned your family had reservations.
Yeah.
Did you have any? Any fears?
No.
None?
No, I had fears. You'll always have fears, but it's only fears from what people doubt, other people put into your mind. I've always been very, very confident from the early years. Again, because of, you know, I was competing at a very high level in martial arts for many, many years. So I've always had that sort of self-discipline and drive that I can make things happen. So I was quietly confident, but you always have those doubts and, you know, worrying, am I actually ready for this? Am I a bit young? You know, how am I going to sort of service a demand if I don't have the skill set or the knowledge of certain things? But it's understanding, I suppose, your limitations.
That's a good problem to have, isn't it? How do you service the demands rather than no demand?
Yeah, I knew I could create demand because I've always been savvy with marketing and things like that. That's something that I've always really enjoyed.
And what was the fear that you're talking about and the fear that your family had? Was it more you're not skilled enough as a dentist, or you didn't have the business knowledge to do it? Was it both?
My parents are old school mentality, so their mentality is you're taking out a loan and you go, you know, whatever goes tits up.
Right.
That's not my mentality. But my dad has always said to me, I've always been really daring. I've always been really ballsy when it comes to business. One thing that my dad's always said to me is, do it while you're young, because if it goes wrong, you can always recover. There's no point waiting 10, 15 years thinking I'm really ready, and then, you know, where's your recovery time in that? I'm not the type of person that wants to work until a very old age. I want to be, you know, I've always said to myself, I'm going to retire. When I say retire, I'll never retire from business, but almost, you know, managing all these staff, building
the point that we were talking about, right? In terms of stepping away, that's what you kind of mean in terms of time.
Well, even exit to a degree. I've built probably the last 3 years with an exit in mind, definitely. But that I'd like to build something which is gonna have a long-lasting impact on the industry that I've chosen, which is dentistry, and I'll know when I've got it, and I also know that I'll have something which hopefully I'll be given a blank check. You know, because someone's gonna want, like a big corporate body, or someone's gonna want what I've created so much that, you know. But then I will always want to consult that business. You know, I'll always be a consultant to some degree to other dentists or other businesses, because that's what I'm finding now through what we're doing with Avant-Garde that I'm really, really enjoying. And I might, you know, just keep pushing the boundaries and trying to modernize things and create that shift for the industry as a whole. Yeah.
So going back that 2012 to 2015, where you made like massive amounts of growth.
Yeah.
What did they look like in terms of like work ethic? What were your days like, and how did you? What kind of groundbreaking moments were there in them 3 years that got you to that point?
Few moments really. So in 2012 we bought the business. It was just head down, just find my feet, gain my confidence. At that point, I remember VJ again, the guy that told me to go for it. We had a certain amount of patience. So if you imagine I've bought a business and what all you're really buying is the goodwill of that business. So my first concern was, these patients that I've essentially took on, are they going to like me? Are they going to leave?
Yeah.
That was my first, so just servicing them and gaining their confidence. But he always said to me, you don't really need to worry about them. You're good enough to create your own thing, which proved correct after a year or two. So it was servicing them and then growing into finding new patients, introducing new treatments that I wanted to do based on what I was learning, and just growing and building that. So for the first sort of couple of years, it was me on my own. And the hours were getting more and more. So you'd be working 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, probably Saturdays as well.
Yeah.
Then I found another clinician to come and join me. Then you can offset and start delegating patients. Key moments for me was in 2014, we adopted digital technology for dentistry.
Okay.
So we went to a course it was part of a world tour. It was called Digital Smile Design, which is a huge part of what we do now. But back then, it wasn't really taken very seriously in the UK. UK dentistry is really funny. People don't want to change. It's quite slow.
In general, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it's really, really, really slow. But we sort of took it on. I went on the course. I think it was 3 days. We took all the concepts. It's more concepts than actual, doing something different. But we took all the concepts. So a lot of it's focused around the patient's experience and how you educate the patients and how you sort of develop a treatment plan for patients with the end in mind, and how you can do that quite comprehensively and gain their motivation. So we took all those principles and concepts on board, made some changes in the practice, reinvested a little bit. And the way we were doing things then just really went from strength to strength. And then in 2015, I think I discovered Instagram and the power that had.
Is that when the brand started?
When
Instagram
2016, I started to think about the actual brand then,
Yeah.
because by the end of 2016, I was working 100 hours a week.
Wow.
It was demanding. It was 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I had a young son who I hardly ever seen. The business was just taking over my life, and I needed to find ways to really sort of divert into a brand. So Instagram we came across quite luckily. I think I treated a local makeup artist, and she put her before and afters on her own Instagram, and mine just went nuts.
Wow.
So quite quickly I changed my Instagram from pictures of me and my dog, or just wiped it and made it business focused, started educating people on what we do, what's composite bonding, these things, and demand just got really bigger and bigger. And that was the driving force. That's how we grew our business and scaled our business really, really quickly without any cost spent on marketing at all. And to this day, we still don't spend on marketing.
Okay.
We've got a marketing team, but we don't actually spend on ads and all these things, because it's just continuing this organic growth and obviously word of mouth and everything we've built over the years, really.
Yeah. What was the thinking at the time where you're working the 100 hours and having your kid as well? How old was your kid at the point?
2. Yeah.
That's a tough age as well. They're obviously doing things all the time and learning.
Yeah.
What was the kind of thoughts behind that? Was it just let me kind of do this now and
Well, it had
have
to
more
be done
freedom
at the
later?
end of the day. I committed to a business in 2012 that we needed to make a success, and it was a success. But as I said, by that time you're becoming a victim of your own success.
Yeah.
So I had to find ways how to build a team and grow the team, and there was only enough space for 3 surgeries in the business, and the data was telling me we could double that quite easily based on the demand. So we started looking for a new location. So we decided to relocate, rebirth, rebrand, put everything, all the brand guidelines in place very strictly and comprehensively to reintroduce what you see now as dental excellence. And that gave me the space to grow into. That's when we brought our own dental lab on site as well, because again, everything was about standardizing the quality control and what we do. And if you think about margins of a business, a lot of those expenses for what you're producing dental wise, you're paying another lab to produce. So I wanted to make the business fully vertical. So we had the dentist, we had the dental lab, and we had the education facility on site. So we could educate our own staff as we grew first and foremost. And then that developed into an education program for other dentists eventually.
Yeah. Did you ever feel guilty when you was working that much and not being able to see your kid as much as you wanted to?
When I look back, Yeah, like I spend as much time with my kids as
at
I
the
do.
time.
No,
No.
I was so driven and so focused, and I knew what I was trying to achieve even back then.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of parts of the industry that frustrated me, and I wanted to change that and modernize things so much that I was just constantly pushing and working to make things better. So to be honest with you, no, I was just so focused.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of cool, and especially maybe as the dad per se. I think like your kid would look at what you've done.
I felt as a parent, I was doing my job.
What
you know,
your job,
I'm not from a wealthy background, and even now when I work, it's, you know, I know the topic of your podcast is about money, but I'm not working for money, but I am working for long-lasting generational wealth.
Yeah.
You know, I can go and earn good money tomorrow and spend it on whatever I want, but I want my kids and their kids to have the right foundation to have nice things and make the right decisions in life and follow the passions rather than do other things for the wrong reasons.
So when did like the celebrity kind of base start coming in? I guess that's what you're quite well known for, that, right? All the celebrities that you work with, footballers or whoever. When did that start building up?
Again, around 2014, 15, really. Started with the footballs, and it then coincided with the growth on Instagram.
Yeah.
So because Instagram was quite new and influencer marketing stuff was all quite new back then, we had the reverse of the process. We were getting like influencers asking us for smile makeovers because we were probably the only people shouting about it nationally, really, about all these amazing things. And because we were so busy, the beauty of me being so busy, I was churning these out day in, day out.
All right.
So people will see it on my Instagram consistently, like, you know, same day smile makeovers, people walking in with one set of teeth and leaving with another. And it was mind blowing because people didn't really know that you could do these things. So we were getting like,
like the whitening
and like composite veneers and
small little jobs that you can do.
And you can really enhance someone's smile very easily. And people didn't really realize it could be done that easily. So then,
you think that's just because the lack of marketing from other dentists?
Well, social media was only really taking off in the dental sector.
So
then we're late to every party, mate.
Yeah.
But I've never looked at dentistry for inspiration because of that reason. We're late to every party, so I look at other industries to get ideas and see what things are doing, and try and lead the way in my own industry. So that was happening. So then, when these opportunities come along of someone who had big followings or whatever else, we'd give them a bit of discounts or whatever else. And then that just grew and grew and grew. Yeah. The footballers was a little bit different. I had friends in football from when I was young. One of my friends was looking after Martin Skirtle at the time.
Was that your first?
Yeah, Martin was my first Liverpool player.
Okay.
I have friends who played football as well, and I was treating them. But the first... The foot in the door to Liverpool really was I think it was Martin, or it might have been Lucas Lever. It was one of those two.
Was that him coming in with like a chipped tooth and that's putting his head in
Martin got elbowed on the pitch. You know what he's like, he throws his head at anything. So he got elbowed on the pitch and broke a tooth, like needed a new crown or something.
That's a complete guess, you know.
So after that, I think Lucas came in for something similar, but then Lucas introduced me to all the Brazilians, and the Brazilians love like glamorous, Roberto, and that's where Roberto and Phil Coutinho and that come from. And then because that was such a big thing, what we did for Bobby,
that must have been like that was the biggest marketing trick you guys ever done. Yeah,
you know, because like he went like so white with his teeth off the scale white.
Were you thinking at the time when he done it, like you were thinking like a ka-ching moment?
Yeah, like, you know, he's got such a big mouth. He shows every tooth in his head, and he just wants to show everyone this big white smile. And I'll never forget, I did his teeth. And I think he was like away at Palace or something on the weekend, and he scored, and he runs over to the corner flag, and the camera's in his face, and they just seen these big dazzling whites, and then it was all in the press like the next day.
Yeah, I can't remember what his teeth were like before that. What were they like?
They weren't bad. I think he'd had like a little injury, so he had like a really dark tooth on the.
So a lot of them came to you just for injuries first.
Yeah, so Bobby came to me purely for cosmetic. You know, the Brazilians are very cosmetically focused.
Yeah.
Dentistry is actually quite cutting edge in Brazil. I've been to Brazil to do some learning and stuff. So, but they're very cosmetically focused.
I think I came from Lucas as well, actually, because he was using that teeth whitening thing.
Oh yeah.
I think that's where everyone started seeing him using it. Because
Yeah.
he used to bring it to away trips and have like a little bag. And
Okay.
everybody's feeling like, what the fuck's that?
This is good marketing tool, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
and then it just kept rolling from
Then
there.
it just kept rolling, mate. And then what we tend to find has happened. Like now, like all the ballers know who I am. Like a lot of them will sort of like ask. But what we find as we grew is we'll see one or two players from a squad, and then
it just travels
around the squad, yeah, and then they'll come, and that's what's happened. So we've sort of like been through, you know, different groups of different squads, almost like at the end of every season before you go away, like there's that little rush, and people want things doing and stuff. So it still happens now.
And then what about other industries, like rappers and musicians and?
Yeah, so I think Charlie Sloth was the first big one who's introduced me to a lot of sort of his network of people as well. You know, so that's sort of that, and then as you grow in your network and you meet people who are successful in their own fields, you sort of like become a little bit of a go-to person when people need cosmetic dentistry, and it's just grown. You know, just having a good network of people around you, really, and people understanding what you do and why you do it and what makes you quite unique. Sort of like people travel from everywhere now to come see us.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like, was there anybody else, any other dentistries that were like competitors, or did you feel like you were just by yourself?
When we did it, we were standalone. You know what I mean? We were groundbreaking in our approach and the way we did things. In 2018, until that point, I was all focused on the business and the brand. I didn't really bother with the industry as a whole. Yeah. But as I said, I had a lot of frustrations about how ancient dentistry is in so many ways, and that was what I did in Liverpool. Like, you know, we've got 8,000 square feet, but it's in an industrial state. Like, no one would even think how you can open a dental practice in an industrial state. Yeah. And I was confident what I was doing. I said I had the data for the demand.
It's a bit of a tough find as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It's tough find, but that was never all the things that people think you should do, like open a dentist on a high street and do all these things. It's old, it's gone. Yeah. And like, you know, mark my words, in 20 years, it'll all be done the way I'm doing it now. And people are starting to follow trend. But what happened in 2018 when we did it, and it made a lot of noise in the industry, it almost gave the whole industry a bit of a kick up the arse. You know, like, you know, this is the type of experience that people are getting now. You know, you're going to have to move forward with the times, and that's been happening since. And I'm proud of that. It's not like I want to be the one dentist that everyone goes to because we're so much better. As I say, my passion now is to move and modernize the whole industry as a whole. And if I can look back and say I've been a part of that as almost like a bit of a revolution, then
I like that.
Then I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's big. There's even like a question I asked you, which I think a lot of people would ask. So you started a training company, right? And then obviously the first question that comes to mind and comes to a lot of people's minds, we were like, oh, if you're teaching all these people to do what you do, then they're going to take all your demand. Yeah. But you don't see it like that.
Absolutely not. Like people see my vision come into light by the end of 2018. What I'm doing now with Avant-Garde, people will see my vision come into light in another couple of years' time. Right now, it's hard to express such a big vision on people. It's your vision, you've just got to execute it. And sometimes if you talk too much about what you're actually trying to do and achieve, people can just send you off track with the negativity or, you know, their opinions sometimes. So people think Avant-Garde is just a training company. I'll be honest with you, I built a lab to service dental excellence, and then I decided I want to make a business out of the dental lab. So I thought to myself, how can I make a business out of what we do in my lab, which is a full digital lab, okay, which is even still quite cutting edge for dental labs. People still do things the old conventional way where we're all digitized. So it's all based around CAD/CAM, which is, again, it's the only true way to scale and offer predictability and quality control and outcome and standardize an outcome, which is what I believe dentistry needs to become. It shouldn't just be down to how good one person is with the hands. It should be able to standardize and improve the quality by using the technology. So that's the basis of the lab anyway, and that's part of the concept of Avant-Garde. So at first I thought, let me take one workflow from my lab that I do every day at Dental Excellence and teach a group of dentists this to open their eyes to digital dentistry. And naturally, they're going to need my lab to service this new idea, what I've just taught them. Okay. So it was a business builder for the lab. It was finding new clients for my lab. Yeah. But then as that grew, and then almost as I had the chance to slow down during COVID, at this point in COVID in 2020, I was going to open a lot of big centres like what I've done in Liverpool for dental excellence.
Just before,
yeah, and during. But what I realised was when I had the chance to sort of like refocus, was the answer was in what everyone was asking me for avant-garde. So not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur dentist. Not everyone even wants to be a practice owner.
Yeah.
You know, there's no harm in qualifying, becoming a great clinician, because it's a medical field and you need to be good at it. And doing what you love every single day, there's no problem with that at all. But people have got to then struggle to market to find the type of clients that they want to see, or all these different areas. So what avant-garde has become, it's become a full service solution. So if I follow my passion now, which is to have a long lasting impact on the industry as a whole and modernize everything, I don't need to build dental excellences everywhere. I can have a small percentage of everyone's business everywhere through avant-garde, almost like Uber dentistry, and have all the solutions in one blueprint, which we do for dentists that just want to go to work, do the type of dentistry that they enjoy every day, see the type of patients that they want to see, and leave. And I believe that I've got the blueprint for that, and that's where we're taking avant-garde now. But it all starts with education. We don't educate the dentists in the right way so we can have at a certain standardized quality control. Then we can't take the next leap, which is service that education with the lab. And now we're going to be doing marketing to the masses, to find the clients, to drop in every dentist's chair that wants to be part of our little sort of affiliation. Yeah. And that's where we're going with the new brand of avant-garde. So
that came because of
like a B2B
COVID.
brand. Yeah, because COVID just gave me an opportunity to sit back and rethink. And
so it's a good thing, right?
It was a great thing, yeah, because my focus went off dental excellence. And, the fast pace of dental excellence every single day, it's hard to just sit back. We were closed for 4 months, and I then started speaking more to the industry. So we were doing like little webinars and little things just to keep busy. Yeah. And the more sort of questions and interest that was coming into me directly, I thought I can help a lot of people here. And if I help dentists do things the way I'm doing things, which is the way I believe in, then I'm certainly helping the patients.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I'm creating accessibility for everyone to a new standard. So then as a whole, I'm helping the industry, I'm helping dentists, and I'm definitely helping patients. So why not just push these concepts, almost force these concepts on people to grow? And I believe at some point there'll be a tipping point when more and more people do it our way, and we'll have an opportunity to do it in a big way, whether we get involved with big corporate bodies or powerful people with deep pockets in dentistry that can really take what I've developed and scale it through the industry. And that's what I'm hoping to do next.
I really hope you're enjoying the show. I would just like to ask for 1 minute of your time to tell you about my sponsor whose support makes the show possible, CPC Finance. CPC Finance is a finance broker that specializes in sourcing and packaging a wide range of property funding. You name it, from buy-to-lets to commercial properties, auction investments, property developments. They are everything you'd want as a finance broker working for you on your property deal. They're extremely experienced. They know their market extremely well, which means they can move quickly. They're on the ball. They've been in the game for 30 years, which has enabled them to, one, build very strong relationships with a variety of lenders, which as an investor is super important, especially when things don't go to plan. Deals in certain situations aren't straightforward, which is often the case. They are bespoke specialists. And two, they have a brilliant understanding of all types of property investing. They know the strategies, they understand deal structures. There isn't anything these guys haven't seen, they're seasoned pros. So if you're someone looking for property finance of any kind, go to cpcfinance.co.uk, and on the homepage you can schedule in a call at whatever time or day suits.
Yeah. Was there any other challenges in lockdown? Was you all right?
Mate, we got a big setup, that we only opened in 2018. Still a lot of overheads going there, a lot of staff. We've got
the new place,
staff
the new place
in the new place, yeah. So, like everybody, it was stressful, and dentistry is a very clean environment. So there was a lot of frustration in the industry. Why do we even really need to close? When you think about infection control and everything that we've already got in place, we felt like we could manage something even as difficult to manage as COVID was. So it took time to reopen, but you had to adjust.
You couldn't take any emergency cases either, could you?
For a long time, you couldn't do anything. No. So it was frustrating. But a lot of people in the industry did a lot of good things to like sort of force the issue, taking things to Parliament and things like that, and get us open as quick as we possibly could. But yeah, it was frustrating. But for me, I've been moving so fast for so long, right back to 2015 when I was saying I was working all those hours. It didn't really stop, because then we opened a new business and we were just reinvesting constantly into that business and growing and growing and growing. That 4 months was a blessing for me in so many ways. It just gave me a chance to slow down, think about almost like the next 5 to 10 years of where I want to go, map it out in my mind, create a new vision, new opportunities, and I'm thankful for it, really.
Do you think you would have come to this training company if it wasn't for COVID? Do you think you eventually would have got there?
So Avant-Garde was already open. Avant-Garde was already a training company at that point from 2019. And that was just me introducing a nice workflow for dentists to give them something new and have at the back end of that a lab to service them, which grew my lab business. But then during the time of COVID, it was like, this is so much bigger than that. It sort of opened my mind to what we could actually create. And that's where the bigger vision for Avant-Garde started to become into fruition in my mind.
So now you got that company, you're full flow on that, you're going around, you're educating everyone. Are you back to kind of that full flowing, like 100 hours a week, or is it a little bit different?
I'm working hard. I'm working very, very hard, but I am managing to find more of a balance. Definitely managed to find that balance.
You're more in control, aren't you?
Yeah, because I've learned how to delegate. I've learned of all the areas, and I'm still learning all the areas that I'm probably not that good at. But you go and find someone that does it better than you, and you bring them into your team. And I've got some great people around me in my team now, so it's definitely easier to manage. But I'm the visionary. I'm the one that creates the ideas, and I'm the one that has the solutions. And that's what I love the most. But then I've got people around me that can, put things in place or begin to execute those ideas or those solutions. Like I said to you earlier, I always say to my team, my mind is 2 to 3 years ahead of now. Like, if there's something which is existing now as a problem, I don't want to know about it particularly, because I'm always at a sort of ahead of myself and trying to build things for the future for what we want to do next.
You was talking about like speed, like you're moving very fast. How important is speed to you? And how important do you think speed is to like people that are trying to grow businesses?
It's not super important, I think, because you go too fast, you can miss rungs on the ladder and your foundation can fall, and you might only realize that years down the line. So we've moved very fast, but that doesn't mean that we've created the perfect blueprint. We've had to take backward steps when you move fast, and you go back to basics sometimes. And we're still even doing that. We're still even doing that now. Like, there's things that I'm doing now in my business because of what I'm thinking about Avant-Garde and the other things. Dental Excellence is almost like my R&D center. Everything I'm doing from a marketing point of view, how we capture data, how we follow leads, how we convert patients into the chair to follow treatment plans, how we do our treatments, how we use new materials, how we do digital dentistry. Everything is sort of trained and tested in Dental Excellence. So it's a constant cycle of improvement. So I don't think speed is always the most important thing. I think it's just getting things right from a foundational point of view. And you spoke about martial arts when you was younger. Would you say you like put a lot of your success down to like the lessons learned through that? Yeah, absolutely.
How so?
Everything, my whole mentality.
What age did you start from?
6.
Okay.
So from the age of 6, I went to a gym in Liverpool, in Toxteth. Hard gym, and everything, all my sort of, my mindset develops from the challenges in that gym, the adversity you witness in that gym day in and day out. I love martial arts and I love competing, but the competing was the easy bit. My coach used to always say to me, train hard, fight easy, because we used to train so hard that you get to a competition, it was literally easy because our standards in that gym was so high. You can have a bad day and still win. And that's just been embedded in me constantly, like how hard we trained, what we did. We always did more than enough to achieve our goals. And that's just stayed with me my whole life, really.
Interesting. What else would you say you put your success down to?
Just determination and self-belief.
Where do you think the self-belief come from?
Probably from that. You know, there's a lot of elements of aspects in my personality that you don't, when you're young, you don't even think about. It's only like when you ask these questions, or as you get a bit older and you reflect, like there's certain ways that like the way you are as a person that you're like working from. So I've been up since 6 a.m. this morning. I get up at 6 a.m. every morning. I train at 7, and then I'm in work by 8:30. And even now, there's days when I'm there till 9:30, 10 at night.
Yeah.
And some people would complain about that, and for me, that's just totally normal.
Yeah.
Like totally normal to do that amount of hours in a day, because you just got to get done what you got to get done. I'd never ever put things off. I never ever procrastinate. Yeah, and that's just, I think that's super important.
Yeah, no, I asked that, and a lot of people normally say self-belief, and I think one thing for me and my kid, I've got 2 boys. The most important thing I need them to have is self-belief. Yeah. So I always ask, where do you think that came from? Did it come from parents? Did it come from a sport? Do you feel like yours come from martial arts? So yeah, it's so important, isn't it? It's something
absolutely, it's everything, isn't it?
How do you kind of push it onto your kid and give them that self-belief?
So my son's into football at the minute, and it's nice. Only very recently to see, he's small. I'm obviously quite small frame, and he's August born, so he's small, and he's the youngest person in his year group. So you see that sort of confidence or self belief sometimes not quite there. But he's just getting past that now as he's sort of experiencing what he's capable of in training or in matches and things like that, and it's nice to see. And you just got to obviously embed it in them as subtly as possible.
Yeah.
You know,
it's got to be subtle, isn't it?
It's got to be subtle. Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be subtle. Otherwise, the way I was with my dad, I used to argue with him all the time, right? All those years of martial arts, I used to hate my dad coaching me, like, because I had a coach.
I get that.
Because we travelled so much, sometimes my coach wasn't there, so then my dad would intervene, and we just clashed.
Yeah, a bit of like a resentment comes in sometimes, because it's like, I know what you mean.
So you got to, I think I've learned from that, and I've got to find that balance. I want to sort of instill all my good traits, but it's got to be subtle, I think. You know, you've also got to learn their own way, haven't you?
Yeah. What does he think about like what you do?
He loves it. He's always like going on YouTube and things like that, and tells his mates that I see such and such football or whatever. He loves all that, and it's nice to see. But it's not potentially an avenue I'm going to push him into. To be honest with you, just got to let him do his own thing. I think my success isn't down to the fact that I went to uni and got good grades. Obviously, to do it in dentistry, I had to go through all those years. But I think my success is down to my mentality, down to my self-belief, down to my hard work, determination, and my entrepreneurial sort of excitement that I enjoy, my passion.
Yeah.
I don't think you can teach those things, to be honest.
As you all know, it's been a turbulent time for travel, with the booking process in particular causing feelings of frustration and anxiety amongst travelers, whether that's for business or for those holidaying with their families. With that being said, I would like to introduce you to our sponsor, Love to Travel, who are a luxury travel company specializing in tailor-made holidays for each individual client. Whatever your preference might be, Love to Travel will be sure to meet your requirements. As an ambassador of Love to Travel, but also from personal experience, I'll definitely recommend them to take away all the work and stresses of booking your travel. For me, the personal service stands out. They're contactable at any time, email, over the phone, WhatsApp. They also cover a variety of holiday types: beach, ski trips, safari, sporting holidays, and also have an additional service such as private jet and yacht charters, as well as restaurant reservations. No request is too complex. All holidays are fully ATOL insured to ensure you can book with complete confidence. Get in contact by visiting their website, www.lovetotravel.co.uk.
So, a question that comes up when you say it then, do you think entrepreneurs are born?
Absolutely,
you think they're born?
Yeah.
Interesting. You don't think they can be created?
I think a mentality can be created, and a knowledge can be created, and an education can be created.
So what aspect absolutely. Of it can't be, do you think?
That willingness to win, what I call the warrior mentality. You know what I mean? It's either in you, that fire, like sort of where you're never going to quit no matter what.
Yeah.
In any sort of walk of life, I suppose, but even in business, it definitely has a standpoint.
Do you think your kid has it, or is it too early?
He's got elements of it in him, but he's way more spoiled than I was as a kid. So
That's a challenge, isn't it, as a parent?
It's a big challenge. You know, you want the life to be easier than what yours was, but then that can become that can have a negative impact in the long run because they become too spoiled. It's hard.
Yeah. So what was your childhood like financially?
Financially, we weren't well off. My dad worked. My dad gave us anything that we wanted, but I suppose we were used to a certain standard of life based on the area that we grew up with, what we want. We didn't want all these amazing flashy things, but I never really felt like I ever did without, to be honest. But my dad worked shift patterns. My mum worked 2 jobs. So I witnessed that constant work within the family home my whole life. So obviously I appreciated when you do get things that it was from hard work. And I've definitely carried that through. And I definitely try to instill that in my kids now. Like, they know how hard I work, and they know that nothing comes easy without hard work. And that's something that I've tried to make sure that they understand from day one, because that is important. Yeah,
it's a good point. And that, do you know, that's something I think about so much as well. And I think sometimes when you're, you know, you've got a good level of comfortability in like money in your life, and you know, your kid, his toy breaks, it's so easy, just go on Amazon and just replace it sometimes. And he just sees something, like this morning, I have a big water bottle, like it's 2 litre one that I carry around that I drink. So he always sees me with it, so he wants one, which is a good thing. He's drinking a lot of water. Then this morning he just like stood on the table and just like launched it across the room, and it split and broke. And he's like crying, and he's like telling me to order it, get a new one. And I think it's so easy. There's
no lesson learned.
There's no lesson learned. Like, you just
so hard.
You don't value it. You're just throwing shit around. It's breaking, and you know when you was a kid, if something breaks, and if it's like your fault as well, you're probably not getting it back. So I think it's like trying to be clever.
And everything's so much more accessible now as well. You know, like you say, you go on Amazon and buy something new. When we were kids, it was
he
birthdays.
knows Amazon. He knows Amazon comes like
when we were kids, it was your birthday and your Christmas, and you got to wait, haven't you, for your next time? Like now, kids know. Like, go on your phone, you've bought something in seconds. So it's hard. It's hard to control these things. Yeah.
So you never really felt like you went without, but did you feel like when you started, money was a bit of a driver for you?
Yeah, money was definitely a driving for me. You know, I'm not ashamed to say I'm probably quite a materialistic person. And I've always been that way, even when I was a kid. Like, even though money wasn't a big thing for us, I always was a little bit into fashion and things like that. But that shouldn't really be the reason why you work hard. But I suppose you learn that when you get older, as you get older. So yeah, I just wanted to be able to. I've always just wanted to be able to do what I want to do on my terms when I want to do it. I've never really sort of been one to. And I knew I'd never work a 9 to 5 and have a job and build someone else's business. I knew that from God knows how old.
Is that just wanting to be in control, you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But you know, I've got a million ideas a minute running around my brain constantly. And to follow someone else's sort of rules,
it's not in your DNA,
I'd be thinking of a better way to do it. To do that, I'd be thinking of solutions all the time, and like I'd have to want to do. So
you think it's that's not learned?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
No, interesting. And I think a lot of people that, especially people that come on the show, say something similar. At first, when they started their own business, they just wanted nice things on the materialistic side. But then they end up going into something and finding a purpose within it after that.
Absolutely.
Which is definitely what I see here after you spoke about being materialistic and you like what you like. But as soon as we get here, from the minute you start, you're talking about dentistry. How can you improve the service for people? So I feel like that's the same with you. You kind of got to that point, and now it's like, how can I benefit this whole industry?
Exactly. I think, you know, if you're building a business or you're doing something, unless you've got an actual purpose for that business, which is gonna offer a solution or an improvement to, you know, the industry you're choosing it in, then what's the point? I think you've got to have a purpose, you know. And if that purpose then becomes a passion, then I think you've cracked it. You don't even have to think about money anymore.
Yeah. But do you feel like money has to kind of follow a purpose to kind of keep it ignited?
I think money solves a lot of potential hurdles. Like, I couldn't grow and scale my business as quickly as I've wanted to if it wasn't generating a good amount of money to then reinvest in the business. You know, but from the outside looking in, it looks like, oh yeah, you're smashing, you're making all this money. I'm reinvesting in that business all the time. You know, it's owned by me. And I don't want to sell off a bit to a bit of a corporate to help give me you know, a step up to do something a little bit faster, and then do everything their way. I'd never do that. It's always got to be my way. So I'm constantly reinvesting all the time until, like I said before, I'll know at the point when I've built something which is unique and special, where that's when I'm happy to go, you can take it from here, sort of thing. And then that's my retirement plan. That's when I'm happy to exit. And then that's when the money maybe becomes part of it, because I want it to be the right amount of money for what I believe I deserve for all my hard work.
Of course.
And that's the way I see it, really.
Yeah. So you mentioned a few problems that money solved. What problems do you reckon having more money brings? What have you found that money?
What problems does it bring?
Yeah. What problems have you faced since making more money?
Greed, fake friends, jealousy, sometimes it can create a lack of gratitude, I suppose. You know, you can forget what you've done for so long to get to a certain point, and then you can waste money. You know, I think it's important that you stay grounded when you've got a lot of money around you, or you can make money easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're I suppose that's the devil tapping on your shoulder, isn't it? You know, and I think all these things that can come into your life, definitely the more money you've got, you need to stay on your path and stay focused.
Yeah. No. Interesting. So what would you say next? What's next for you now? What's the kind of next steps in front of you that
just
you're
keep working, mate. As I say, I've got you know, I think for more than ever, I think the game plan and the vision is very, very clear. I've been distracted many times in this journey where I've wanted to invest in another business which has got nothing to do with what I'm doing, and it's just tickled me thinking, oh, that sounds good, and you always get burnt. You always get burnt. So I've learned those lessons of sort of sticking to what you want to know, sticking to what you want to do, and following that sort of passion and that end goal. And if it takes me 2 years to where I want to get to, if it takes me 20 years to where I want to get to, I'll say I'll know that I've achieved enough to then say I'm happy now.
Okay, so you've started up ventures, but it's in that industry, it's in the same field, right? But
all my ventures in the same field are successful, or been successful, or are controllable. When you do ventures in other fields, you lose control. You think you know, but you don't know. You haven't got the right partners, and then, you know, unless you're prepared to take a punt and say, "Yeah, I'm a silent investor." There's my money.
Have you done it? Have you done any?
I've done loads of businesses, mate. I've done loads of businesses.
Outside of.
Yeah. So when I was, because I stayed at home when I was in Liverpool. So how old was I? 18. Took out a student loan, didn't need it. Bought a property, buy-to-let property. That was a good thing to do, because it's cheap money. Student loans, cheap money. So I thought, everyone else is getting a loan, I'll get mine. But I didn't really need it, so I bought a property, buy-to-let. So that was probably a good decision. Sold the property since, because being a landlord doing all that is just not for me. You know, I want to build businesses and build brands, and I think that's where you get the most value at the end. While I was in uni a few years later down the line, done the same thing, and I invested with a friend in a noodle bar. A noodle bar. And I just get bored, and like, I love business so much, and the concept was fantastic. Didn't know how to control staff, didn't know how to manage things.
Did you go in for a lot?
Went in for about, I think, like 15k each.
Okay.
Again, it's probably another student loan. And I'm just thinking, this is free money, I'll just spend it on something. So we had 3 chefs, and they completely just had us by the bollocks, you know. So that just went tits up, lost that. When I actually owned Dental Excellence at the time. I decided that I wanted to do a fashion brand, because I was starting to learn about social media because of the dentistry. So I thought, this is great. So then we brought a fitness line out called Two Tone, and I give it to my wife at the time and a twin sister, and said, run this and I'll invest it. Again, thinking I know a little bit about social media, all these other people doing it. Didn't know nothing about, you know, fabrics, fabrication, where to go fabrications. Tried to manufacture in the UK, massively expensive. Boom, flop. Lost about 100k on that. So, but you learn all these things. But then as we started doing that, I started learning a lot more about marketing. I started learning a lot more about influencer marketing, because we were trying to do it for that brand. So I did take a little bit away from that. What else have I done? There's probably a couple others in there.
So
but
what was the last one you was like, no, I ain't doing this no more?
have I done one since then?
And do you feel like it took away from the dentistry business?
Just distracted me in the long run. But that just be me being sort of young and entrepreneurial and trying to get my hands in too many pies too soon.
Yeah.
Now I've got my hands in a lot of pies, but they're all under my control and they're all within the same sector and they all support each other. It's fully vertical.
Yeah.
You know, the education supports the lab supports dental excellence. They all support each other. We've even got, the most recent one now is we've got a scrubs line called Metaform.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
So again, that's all following the same vision. That's sort of redressing the clinical sort of team to become more modernized and look more sort of.
So you kind of got the fashion brand you look for,
absolutely. But it's within the medical sector, and it's doing well within the dental sector, and we want to expand, and we've got good ideas for that. But again, it's not outside of an area which you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's the lesson from all those little mistakes. But you learn more from when you go wrong. You don't learn when it's always right.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you wouldn't take them back, right?
No.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so the level you're at now, in terms of business knowledge, let's say you do exit like 5 years down the line or whatever, do you feel like you could go into any other business outside of dentistry that you're interested in and be successful at it?
I do now, yeah.
Yeah,
I do now. And I think I probably will. I think I probably, as I say, I can see myself staying involved in that sort of dental or aesthetic world.
Yeah.
Because I know so much about it, and I still got a lot of sort of enjoyment fulfillment from that area, as like whether it's on a consultant level or whether I end up starting and building something new or whatever, I don't know. But I'll definitely want to diversify as well and get involved in other things that I haven't got the time to be involved in now. Because I'm quite a hands-on person, and what I've learned, if I'm going to do a new business, I do need that daily involvement.
Yeah.
Like without that, I don't really feel like it's worth an investment for me.
What would you go into? What you got your eye on?
I don't know. It's nothing in particular. As I say, there's no sort of time limit on any of this, and there's no like huge urgency to get involved in anything else.
Yeah.
So I don't.
But then
know.
if you see from the outside, like, do you know, if I like come out of this, I could go into any industry whatsoever. No.
Nothing. Really. You know, I probably maybe playing the property game a little bit if the numbers stack up.
I think that'd be too boring for you, man.
As I say, unless it's like quick flips.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. But there's no such thing as quick flips, is there?
Yeah. Probably not.
We'll
You'd
see.
be interested in, I don't think.
So yeah, I really don't know. Maybe I couldn't tell you. I'm just so focused on what I'm doing now. I haven't even really thought about what I would do next.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to wrap it up with a quick fire round.
Okay.
To get your take on a few things. Try and answer as quickly as possible. First thing that pops into your head.
Put me on the spot, yeah.
Whose teeth have you been most proud of, other than mine?
I'm proud of a lot. You know, I've transformed some very challenging cases. So I wouldn't say there's one in particular, but the one that's probably had the biggest impact has been Jurgen's. Definitely. Okay. I think that's what Bobby's was big, but I think Jurgen's was probably had the biggest impact for me. It was great for
These
business.
teeth weren't great, were they, before? So it was a good, like...
I'm not going to make a comment on that. And he was so... And like, naturally, you know, obviously, the most important thing with us is confidentiality, first and foremost. You know, we're medical professionals, and there's not something to be spoken about, but he was so open to talk about it himself, like on Sky Sports, like you name it. Like there was one interview where he even brought it up himself, like how come no one's asking me about my teeth? And that's just been fantastic for me and my business, because people have got the story from the horse's mouth, and you know what I mean, which is great for business. So that's been rewarding, I would say, and obviously it's proud to be able to see that. And you know, he started winning games after I did his teeth. as a lucky charm in those teeth.
What year was that?
2016.
2016. Yeah, they just started going on the up, didn't they?
Yeah, just started climbing then, yeah.
Oh, nice. What was we kind of touched on this already, but what was your like first initial thoughts when you just finished Firmino's teeth?
My initial thoughts? Fuck me, they're white.
Were you thinking, nah, don't do it?
No. I like, it's my job to give people what they want and do it in the best possible way and still guide them and educate them along the way. Do you know what I mean?
I think you talk-
And I love white teeth. Like my own teeth are white. Like I don't think there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with big white teeth. The important thing is how they're done, what's underneath, and how long they're gonna last.
Yeah.
So you know, Roberto's teeth was 2015. That was 7 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So judge me on that.
Has he come in for like a top up or anything, or has it just been
He comes in now and again for like little checkups and stuff. But the schedule.
for like a top up for like whitener, or is it just stayed like that?
That was the veneers, aren't they? So they're all
Ah,
veneers, yeah.
okay.
So they're all porcelain.
Oh, okay, cool.
So they'll stay like that, yeah. No
yeah,
need-
yeah.
no need
And
to
I think you're talking about it one time, and you said like there's a scale of whiteness, and he asked for like one off the scale.
Yeah, that's right.
mad.
Yeah, we had to customize the whiteness for them. Yeah.
But you've given him like a signature, man. That's
It
like
is.
super rewarding.
Yeah,
for
it
you.
is. Yeah.
What would you say are like 3 myths about teeth in terms of like the health of teeth, or 3 things that people probably think are good for your teeth actually aren't? A couple myths that you see going around.
Couple of myths. Let me think. So, brush your teeth after eating. Really, it's more beneficial to brush before you eat.
Really?
Yeah. So you've got plaque on your teeth. Those bacteria feed off the sugar that is in your food, create acid and burn little holes in your teeth. So the less biofilm, what we call biofilm or plaque on your mouth before you have a sugar intake, the better.
So I'd brush before I'd have breakfast.
Yeah.
But then at night I'd have dinner first and then I'd brush. So you're saying
Yeah. So brush before breakfast is the common one. People say do a brush before breakfast or do a brush after breakfast. Brush before breakfast.
right. But you wouldn't brush before dinner though, right? But it's more beneficial if you
It'd
did.
be more beneficial if you did. Yeah.
Interesting. Any more?
I think like there's a lot out there like charcoal toothpaste and all that stuff is like the charcoal can be too abrasive and harmful for your teeth. There's ways to make it like refined,
Yeah.
but it doesn't whiten your teeth. You know, the abrasiveness might remove stains, but it doesn't whiten your teeth. The best way to whiten your teeth is with peroxide gel, which is prescribed by the dentist. It's the only true proven way to actually whiten your teeth.
Okay. Is that the little things you put in the
little
tray
gels
and-
that you put in the trays.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What's the biggest risk you've taken in your journey?
Biggest risk I've taken? Tough one.
I thought it was going to be an easy one for you. I thought you was going to say taking out the loan.
Taking out the loan.
Yeah.
Well, in hindsight, it wasn't much of a risk.
Yeah, but at the time, what
At
felt
the
like
time,
the biggest risk?
yeah, at the time it was risky. Yeah, obviously.
Did you say that was the main one?
Yeah, I would say.
Mm.
Because, I could have been very young with a big loan over my head and dental practice, which no one coming through the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last one. If you have to sum up your core philosophy of life and entrepreneurship, what would it be?
Life and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I think finding a balance. I think entrepreneurship can give you a great life, but only if you find the right balance in order to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. No, all it. Wrapped up. Appreciate that, man.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure.